Scroll to the end for a powerful motivational call to action, encouraging viewers to subscribe to your channel. Asterisk, the first day at Riverside High was supposed to be a new beginning for 17-year-old Elijah Carter. But for Elijah, stepping onto that campus felt like walking into a battlefield disguised as a school. His family had just moved from the south side of Chicago to this mostly white suburban town after his mother got a teaching job at the local college. New house, new town, new school, wore clean jeans, a fresh hoodie, and the hopeful smile of someone desperate for a fresh start. But the second he entered those polished hallways, the air shifted. People stared, some whispered, and a group of football players near the lockers gave each other a knowing look. Elijah felt it instantly. That sharp chill of judgment, that silent labeling, the kind of racism that didn't need to be shouted, it breathed through the walls of the school. The group of boys led by Brad Thompson, the quarterback with privilege in his stride, locked eyes with Elijah like they'd just spotted a challenge. Brad smirked and whispered something to his buddies. Elijah kept walking, head high. But as he passed them, a foot subtly slid out. Elijah tripped and fell hard. Laughter erupted. Phones were out. Someone recorded. "Watch where you're walking, LeBron," Brad said mockingly, offering no hand, just sarcasm. Elijah stood up, brushing off his clothes with quiet strength. "Thanks," he said, voice calm. "But I don't play games I didn't sign up for." That line hit like a jab. Brad's smirk twitched. Elijah walked away, leaving the bullies snickering, but uneasy. That was only the beginning. Asterisk, over the next week, the attacks got more frequent. Locker graffiti, go back to the hood. Slurs whispered in hallways, cafeteria seats, suddenly taken wherever he tried to sit. Teachers either ignored it or offered shallow advice. Just focus on your studies. But Elijah did more than that. He endured, observed, and channeled every ounce of pain into his passion. Science and robotics, the quiet corners of the library. He worked on a project that he had dreamed about for years, a self-built drone with adaptive AI technology. He wasn't just smart, he was brilliant. But brilliance was hard to see through bias. And none of the bullies expected him to have such depth. Meanwhile, a teacher named Ms. Dorsey, an African-American woman who taught literature, noticed Elijah. She called him after class one day and said, "You remind me of someone I used to teach. Quiet, strong, overlooked. Don't let them define you." Elijah nodded, her words anchoring something deeper inside him. Asterisk, things came to a boiling point during school assembly, when students were showcasing their talents. Brad and his gang had performed a sloppy comedy sketch mocking urban culture, full of stereotypes and offensive language disguised as jokes. Elijah clenched his fists in the back row. Could have walked out, but instead he did something unexpected. When the principal opened the mic for last-minute volunteers, Elijah stood up. Whispers spread. "What's he doing?" someone muttered. Elijah walked to the stage, plugged in his laptop, and unleashed his drone. It flew across the gymnasium with flawless grace, performing aerial flips, responding to Elijah's voice commands, even tracking applause waves from the crowd to change color. The gym fell silent, then erupted in awe. But Elijah wasn't finished. He picked up the mic and said, "You all laughed at me because I looked different. You thought I came from nothing. But while you were mocking people like me, I was building this, so laugh if you want. But remember this, the ones you push down might just be the ones who rise above you." The crowd was stunned. Some clapped. Some hung their heads in shame. Brad and his crew sat motionless. Asterisk, from that day forward, everything began to shift. Elijah wasn't the black kid anymore. He was the genius. Kids who never spoke to him started saying hi. Teachers started calling on him in class. Even the robotics club, once a gate-kept space, invited him in. But he didn't forget the pain. He didn't forget the silence of those who watched him suffer. He chose to rise, but not for their approval for himself. It's for others. Who would come after him? The final straw came during a debate competition. Elijah, representing the school, was facing off against Brad, who had somehow managed to join the debate team. The topic? Systemic racism still a factor in modern education? Brad argued no. Elijah argued yes, with facts, personal experience, and passion. The room was speechless, As Elijah closed with, "Some of you pretend racism doesn't exist because you're afraid to admit you benefit from it. But I don't want guilt, I want change. If you think my skin makes me less capable, you're already losing the argument." He won by a landslide. Even Brad's own team clapped, but Elijah didn't stop there. He started a mentorship club for other students of color, teaching them robotics and self-confidence. He partnered with Ms. Dorsey to run social justice workshops. The same school that mocked him was now watching him lead. Brad, once the king of the hallways, faded into the background. He tried to bully others, but it didn't work anymore. Elijah had changed the atmosphere by standing up, by staying true, by refusing to shrink. And through it all, he learned something powerful: that real strength isn't about fighting back the same way. It's about rising in a way they can't touch. The quiet genius who once sat alone at lunch had become the heartbeat of Riverside High, the unstoppable force born from hate, now driving hope. If you believe that standing up against bullying and racism matters, Elijah's story inspired you to never back down from being yourself. Then smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell because more powerful real-life inspired stories are coming your way. Your support helps us create a kinder world, one story at a